I'm Teresa Lieb, Senior Food Systems Analyst with GreenBiz, and I'm excited to be speaking with James McCall, Chief Sustainability Officer at HP. Hi, James.
Hello, Teresa. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Excited to be here. Thank you for hosting us.
All right. So, as a company that makes printers, among many other products, and whose customers therefore use a lot of paper, how is HP addressing its impact on forests?
I think first and foremost, we like to acknowledge that, here at HP, our business is inextricably linked to forest health, right? And it's linked to the paper we use, not only in our printers, but also in our packaging. So, whether that's the packaging for the printers or the packaging for our PCs or our monitors or other devices. And, as we think about it, a thriving working forest and a responsibly managed forest is key to not only our business, but to the health of the overall planet. And so beyond committing to maintain zero deforestation for our own paper, and that's paper both in the packaging and also in our HP branded paper, we've committed that we will go beyond that to be forest positive and to compensate for every page printed through an HP printer. Because we know that as we work with people, they've told us that some people just see and think better when they can touch their ideas, and we want to meet them where they're at. And we want them to feel good that every page they print is having a positive impact on the world around them.
All right. So forest positive, just to clarify, means that you will overall have a net impact on forests or neutral?
Agree. So what we try to do is we first commit with our own actions that we have zero deforestation, right? And so 100% of our paper is already third-party certified or responsibly sourced through FSC or other mechanisms. And then we try to go above and beyond. We wish everyone printed with HP paper. I wish more people would have HP paper because then we would know it's responsibly sourced. But we know there's quite a few people out there that source from other areas. And some of that paper is responsibly sourced, some of it is not. And so what we try to do is go above and beyond to work with partners like Conservation International, World Wildlife, and others to make sure that, every page printed, we're compensating for a similar amount of pulp and forestry through restoration efforts, protection efforts, or planting trees.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. And so beyond that, forests are also a key part of HP's climate action strategy. Can you tell me a little bit more about that piece of your work?
Agree. So, the way that I see it personally and the way that we see it here at HP is that we're really kind of at a turning point in history, right? We as businesses, we as individuals get to choose. Are we going to make a difference? Are we going to be able to leave the world a little better for the next generation? Or are we going to sit back and kind of wait on innovation and carbon capture and other things to come forward? If you look at it, forest can be an essential part of that equation. Mother Nature has a $4.5 billion year head start on us from an innovation standpoint. And the data would say that, you could literally remove 5 to 7 billion metric tons of CO2 annually by protecting and restoring forest around the world. That's literally the equivalent to all of the emissions from cars today currently. So we know we can't fix all of our problems with forest. I think that we really need to first and foremost focus on reducing our emissions. But I do think that forests have a role to play, especially in this next decade as we bridge and build time to innovate around carbon capture. I think that forests should be one of our key areas that we're investing. And that's why we've partnered first and foremost with groups like WWF, Conservation International, and Arbor Day, but then also going beyond to groups like Jane Goodall and the Jane Goodall Institute to make it possible for individuals as they buy our products to plant a tree or to do other things. So, we think it's one of those that whether you're working in my backyard here in North Carolina or whether you're working in Brazil in the Atlantic forest or provinces across China, forests have a role to play. So.
All right. Yeah. And so I'm curious, you have a very holistic view of what's happening in forests and forest conservation. You just mentioned that you think carbon capture will be an increasing trend in the future. What other trends are you seeing looking ahead?
I think from a trend standpoint, one of the things that's going to be critical is we really need to create kind of a overarching science-based target around forest. Not all projects are created equal. Not all forest restoration work is the same. And so we need a way to ensure that the investment is going towards work that is going to drive a meaningful change. And so having ways that we can create more of a science-based target around that, more of a science-based metrics for tracking and managing it. Some of those exist today, but how do we really kind of level that up and have it as more of a global standard? And that's where I think groups like, World Wildlife Fund, we started a pilot with them thinking about, how do we identify key regions for forest investments? What are the best way to estimate both our carbon and natural benefits? Because when you're working in a forest, you're not just working on carbon, you're working on biodiversity, you're working on indigenous rights with the groups that count on these forests for their livelihood. You're working in water conservation. Forests are this unique nexus across several different footprints and several different areas. And so, for me, the future holds two things. One, how do we better define the role that forests are playing so we can invest in the right places so that every dollar counts and that we're making the biggest difference we can with those investments? And then two, from an HP standpoint, long term, I would love to see us go beyond our carbon and start to look deeper at the biodiversity and also into our digital equity work. And how are we starting to close the digital divide in these communities that have often been left behind, and really kind of bring all of those together into these clear ecosystems that we're working. So,
thank you so much, James, for providing these insights. That was a really great overview. You just heard from James McCall, Chief Sustainability Officer at HP.
Thank you, Teresa.